Hello, I'm Marguerite Welch. I'm the Program Director of the Masters of Arts and Leadership program in Moraga, California at St. Mary's College of California, and I live in Oakland, California. Transformative learning has been a part of my life since I started graduate school more than 20 years ago. I was introduced to it by Elizabeth Castle, and she was my dissertation advisor. Elizabeth also introduced me to transformative learning from what she and Lyle Yorks call a holistic perspective, which is based on John Heron's work. And what draws me to that is the idea of presentational knowing as a bridge between one's lived experience and the way we make meaning of that experience. And I found in my teaching at St. Mary's, I often bring presentational knowing into how we do our work together, because I find that it takes people a little below the surface, and it really it gets to that shift in perspective that is such an important part of transformative learning. So as I was thinking about what I would say today for the video, we're in the last day of the 2018 conference, and I've been one of the co-chairs of the conference. So I've been thinking about how has that been a transformative experience for me, this process of co-chairing the conference. And I have to say that it has been. We worked with a large number of people, more than 50, to design the conference and plan it and all of the different aspects. So it was a different experience than what I was anticipating when I first agreed to do it. And what's come forward for me is the sense of community and the ways in which participating in the planning process has evoked transformative learning in so many of us that have been part of it. I, of course, can't speak for everybody else, but for me, it has, I've learned the value of collaboration at a new level. I mean, clearly I've been thinking about collaboration for a long time, but the actual experience of having done this conference with Victoria and all of the other people that were involved, how to both hold on to the intention and also let go to create space, has stretched me and has offered me new ways of looking at collaborative experiences and the process of engaging others and the process of being inclusive. And it's been a really exciting, rewarding experience. Sure, I've had many, and the one that stands out the most was my experience in graduate school with my learning cohort, and it had to do with learning about being white. I started that experience, again, 20 years ago, as a white woman who who professed to be colorblind, and I learned very quickly through the feedback I got from the others in my cohort that I might want to rethink that process and that perspective. And we were a very diverse group of people. The white students in the group were less than 50%. We were never a majority. So I had to rethink how I saw the world through the eyes of the people that I was learning with. We read Ruth Brankenberg's book, White Women, Race Matters. We talked a lot about race and power and privilege in our cohort. And I would have to say it was one of the biggest disorienting dilemmas of my life, of trying to figure out how to make sense of white supremacy, white privilege. What did it mean for me, both as a white woman and as Marguerite? So the idea of myself as part of a system and myself as who I am and how I interact with that system. And it set me on a journey of learning that will continue for the rest of my life. So that for me, that kind of crucible moment, it actually lasted for about 3 months, the really intense part of learning and interacting with the colleagues in my cohort. Shifted my perspective in a way that I made that my dissertation topic of what is the process of deciding to learn about being white. And although I started that work many years ago, it is clearly relevant and needed in the world today. So I am continuing to look for ways to engage people in conversations, to invite people into the conversation, to figure out how we can bridge the polarities that we're experiencing today, and in service of creating more inclusive communities, organizations, families, groups of people. And I look for that in my life. I look for that with my family, my friends, my teaching. it's become part of how I live my life, and also I try to be conscious of the intentionality that is required in order to stay present in that space. Oh, well, this question about what makes me excited about the conference touches my heart. When we first started the planning, we had several planning conversations. We had 2 in person at Teachers College and also at St. Mary's, and 3 virtual. And over the last year and a half, I have watched people participating. We did it primarily by Zoom. Participating in these conversations and arriving here at the conference. That one of the most exciting things was to see people who had been interacting on Zoom. It's a video conferencing service if you don't know Zoom. For the last year and a half, and then meeting in person. It was just a delight to see. And the other piece of it was a woman who, it's her first time at the conference, when we were on a planning call a few weeks ago, said, I feel like I'm coming to a family reunion, and yet I've never been to the conference. So the idea to come and meet people face to face, and to embody that sense of community and that sense of hospitality that's been a hallmark of the conference for years. The attention to that has really has been delightful to see. So that's probably it. And then, of course, meeting people, hearing new ideas, listening to papers and presentations, and just having the opportunity to talk face to face with people who I've come to know over time, come to know through their work, but nothing takes the place of the in-person connection.